Welcome, Ukraine war today. Outgunned Ukrainian pilots take the fight to Russia in ancient Soviet-era helicopters. Somewhere in the battle for the eastern Ukrainian town of Bakhmut, Russian soldiers are being torn apart and burned as the ground itself erupts when the rockets find their target. There's no time to reflect. The effect of the rockets will get passed back to the pilots later. Their task now is to stay alive. Ukraine's losses are a national secret. But pilots and air crew in the Sikorsky Brigade have all lost close friends to Russian SAMs, surface-to-air missiles. Often shoulder-launched, the man-portable missiles can send a helicopter into a ball of flame in seconds. They're hunted, whether airborne or not. Ukraine's Air Force and Army aviators, along with their planes and helicopters, are priority prey for Russia's missiles. They're likely top of the Kremlin's list. The horizon disappears for a moment as the nose of the helicopter rears. There's a faint thump as rockets trailing brown smoke arc ahead. The aircraft banks as if flicked on its side by an outside force. Diving back towards to the ground, it spurts flares from its tail to distract heat-seeking missiles. The Sikorsky Brigade in eastern Ukraine operating from a secret base. It has a handful of helicopters and pilots there, conducting combat missions against Russian forces. Given the gigantic advantage that Russia enjoys over Ukraine in terms of aircraft and pilots, it's staggering that Ukraine can still threaten Russian forces. Indeed, it's baffling that almost 1 year into the conflict, Ukraine has an air force and helicopter fleet at all, given the effort to destroy them. We're always surprised that we're here. But, well, we are, and we're never going to stop, says the deputy commander of the Sikorsky Brigade. His name and location are military secrets. Ukraine's helicopter pilots have to fly so low that being on board one is like riding a pebble as it schemes and skips across water. Serhiy and Hennedy are both middle-aged pilots with more than 2 decades of flying behind them. They spent much of the early 2000s flying for the United Nations on peacekeeping missions in Liberia, Sierra Leone, South Sudan, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The experience, they say, had been invaluable. It kept their hours up and gave them experience of flying low and in difficult circumstances, like the ongoing civil war in the DRC. Still this week, Serhiy, who commands a flight of 2 Mi-8s, each flying about 3 combat sorties a day, 3 of his 5 rotor blades were damaged and caused a forced landing, a drop of about 20 feet. The venerable Mi-8s, all made before the collapse of the Soviet Union, are over 3 decades old. Their flanks are streaked black with exhaust and oil. Dangerously close to the front line, he could not stay on the ground, so, after a quick inspection, took off on his damaged blades. He flew to a rear location where engineers could swap the damaged equipment with 3 others cannibalized from a different helicopter. Ukraine's military is making do. It gets more equipment by capturing it from Russian troops than it gets donated by allies. President Volodymyr Zelensky has begged NATO and other allies for, among other things, jets and other aircraft. The response so far has been close to nil. The United Kingdom has offered to boost Ukraine's helicopter fleet with a handful of ancient Sea King aircraft that have been decommissioned from the military. Portugal, meanwhile, has given 6 Russian-made 3211Vs, none of which are even airworthy, in which, its defense minister said, Ukraine would have to fix itself.